This is a presentation of BSRN, Box Studios Radio Network. The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here is your host of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for July 3rd, 2025. This is season 14, episode number 72, and episode number 511 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. And, we're just a couple days away from the 4th of July, Independence Day. And I hope all of you have a great Independence Day and just enjoy either the time off or just some fun with some fireworks and your family. So I am your host, Bob Howard, and she is
Taylor Welch.
And Taylor, obviously, happy 4th of July to you and to Jeremy. Can you tell me a little bit about what you guys do on 4th of July? It's kind of racing related usually, right?
Usually always racing related. A lot of the tracks tend to do their fireworks display either during an intermission or after the good part of the race when everyone's all excited. It's usually a good time.
And where are you guys going this year? Which track are you going to go to?
The plan, weather according, if it, wants to be nice and not rain on us, it's going to be Williams Grove.
And where is Williams Grove?
Oh, you're asking. I gotta remember because I always mix up two tracks and I can't ever remember which one is which.
Is it in New York or in PA?
It's in PA, so it's in Mechanicsburg.
Oh, Mechanicsburg. Okay, gotcha. Very, very cool. And then sometimes you also will do a concert. You've seen some concerts on 4th of July?
Not 4th of July exactly. It's just our summer is, it's just, we're usually constantly busy, whether it's winter or summer. In the winter, it's obviously hockey games nonstop, and in the summer, it's usually racing or a concert.
Well, let me ask you this question, because I thought about it a little bit this week, and even my wife asked me if I was missing hockey, and I said, well, yeah, a week after the season was over, I think I was already starting to miss it. Have you started missing hockey yet?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I think the break is a good thing. I'm sure all the guys are enjoying their times with their families, even though Tyson's still hanging out and, making some rounds and making a couple fans happy.
Yeah, I saw pictures like that. Yeah, I saw pictures again today. He had a young fan and a stick and probably signed the stick. He is really making the rounds, isn't he?
Yeah, he's really trying to make those season ticket sales, I guess. But I think the break is good. It's nice to be involved and still see things happening or to see the signings and stuff. So I don't think it's truly ever gone or if it's truly ever like out of the sight,
sure,
or so to say. But I am excited to see the game again.
Yeah. I just kind of miss the day-to-day interaction for myself. It's just I'm not a summer guy. I don't do summer things unless it's going to a concert. I don't really do a lot of summer things. I don't go swimming. I don't go water skiing or, when I was younger, a little bit of surfing, but that, not much at this day and age. So I'm just not really much of a summer guy. Matter of fact, I think I put on a pair of headphones and get on the riding lawnmower just to mow the lawn, and I'm grumpy the whole time. So it's like, oh, look at this. It's the sun and it's hot and, I'm sweating and it's like, I don't want to have anything to do with that. So that's just kind of the way I look at it. I know there are some fans out there that are really missing the guys in hockey, but, they deserve the time off and, and guys are getting like engaged and, Austin Thompson got engaged and just there's so many cool kind of things that are happening for some of these guys that are returning, which is pretty cool. I think personally, though, Tyson is going to run for mayor in Binghamton. He's like kissing the babies and making the rounds and going to all the, the businesses. I mean, honestly, he could probably do pretty good. I don't know. I don't think he's got dual citizenship, so I don't know if he technically could, but man, if he just cements that residency here for a little bit, he might be able to run for mayor.
Well, and he would definitely have the votes. I mean, he's definitely loved in this city. So
yeah. I would probably vote for. Honestly, at this point in the political scheme, I'd probably vote for him for president too. And we all know how kind of funny that is if you really truly know me. But I would probably still vote for Tyson over anybody else in politics. But let's move on from that, because that was going to go down a very slippery slope. The Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast and subscribe. And Taylor, in your household, you guys are kind of split on which platform you guys listen to the Power Play Post Show, right?
Yeah, he tends to stick with Apple, and for me, I tend to stick with Spotify.
Interesting. I wonder why that is. What is it about Apple that he likes over Spotify?
I think for him, it's just that's what he's just because he always listens when he's on the road, so it's easy for him to just kind of pull it up
on his phone with the Apple Podcast, which I agree. It's a very easy app to use, especially when you got your podcasts, subscribed and they're in the order that you want them to be in. It's very, very easy. And for you, why Spotify? Do you listen to a lot of music too?
I do and I don't. It depends on my work day if I'm listening to music or not. I've used both. I've gone from Apple and Spotify. I started using Spotify because Spotify actually releases it first.
It's true.
So in some instances, when you upload it like the night of, I can actually find it on Spotify like right when you do it.
I know you guys have told me that. And what's funny is like every once in a while I'll put it up at like around 9:30, and then like I'll go check it for some reason at like 11:30 when I'm in bed and I'm just bored and I can't fall asleep. I'm like, wait, I got 4 listens already? I was like, I didn't think people would notice it and find it until the next day. But some people get the notification saying, hey, there's a new Power Play Post Show or whatever podcast, right? So.
Yeah, one of them is probably me because I'm nosy usually.
Want to hear what dumb things I'm saying? Now you're part of that, so you're saying the dumb things with me. So, which is pretty cool. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and search Power Play Post Show. Check out BinghamtonHockey.net. I'm doing a lot of changes, getting it updated, getting it a lot more mobile friendly for all your Binghamton hockey information, curiosity. And no, we don't have a guest this week. Why? Because we have the friggin' schedule to talk about. That's right. We're going to talk a little bit about the schedule. And I think we'll wait until the end to get to the schedule stuff, because we obviously have some signings that continue to happen. And I want to talk a little bit about why the Black Bears aren't doing what the other teams are doing. And I think that's important, but we'll get to that in just a minute as well. All right. So as we reported last week, to go with our exclusive interview with Austin Thompson, he returned obviously to the Black Bears. Now Thompson prepares to enter his 4th season with the Black Bears, coming off last year's career year. This past season, Thompson led Binghamton with 39 goals, including 6 on the power play and 9 game-winning tallies. He finished with 77 points, 21 more than the previous 2 years. Thompson recorded 3+ points in 8 games and did in 3 consecutive games last April. He has been a staple in the Black Bears lineup, playing in 55 of 56 regular season games in each of the past 2 championship campaigns. In the Commissioner Cup's championship season, Thompson has appeared in all 15 games. He scored the second goal of Game 3 versus Carolina off a stretch pass from Connor McAnanama. Yep, Connor McAnanama, the goalie, gets an assist. He has a total of 16 playoff points in 19 games across 3 seasons. Excited to be back and cannot wait for the Triple Crown, according to Austin Thompson. Now, Taylor, we talked a little bit about it, obviously, last week, because we knew that Austin was signing before it was actually announced on Thursday. To have Jesse, to have Tyson, to have Austin, and to have the next man that we're going to talk about in just a couple of minutes returning. And so far, that's all the fans know are these 4 guys at this point. I'm still more confident about our team than any of the other teams with all the different trades and stuff. But I think it's very good that they're getting these returners. I don't want to say out of the way first, but announced, because it gives me that comfortability of saying, hey, yeah, we can definitely continue to win.
Yeah, I think just having the core guys that are like, that's how they started the signings, is they're going to start with these core guys. And if it continues that route, I think it's just going to keep hyping the season up, kind of like Tyson's been doing, just hanging out in Binghamton. Is just getting people hyped up for this next season.
Yeah, and doing it very early too, right? Like being here. I know I spoke to Jesse Anderson a little bit over the weekend, and congratulating him on re-signing and so on. And you know what he said to me? He goes, I'll be in Binghamton this summer. So he's going to be here during the summer for whatever reason, right? Maybe coming in and doing something with Tyson to kind of promote the team. So I think all the important people are kind of on board for this upcoming season, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I almost lost my computer there.
Uh-oh.
Almost knocked it right off. I think having Jesse as the first defensive-man signed was an interesting thing to see, and I'm especially with what he's done in this past season, and just to hear that he's going to stay or be in Binghamton this summer. I guess these guys just really like this city.
Yeah, no kidding. And we're all trying to get out of it, and they're all sticking around, which is kind of cool. But let's talk about the second defenseman that has re-signed.
All right, so Dan Stone returns to the Black Bears. Stone follows Jesse Anderson as the second defensiveman to re-sign with Binghamton for this upcoming season. After playing in all 56 games his first year, Stone played in 49 games last season. Across his 105 games, he has produced 13 goals and 58 assists, setting new career highs in 2024. Stone is known around the league for his shutdown capabilities, which lead him to, I cannot speak today, which led him to leading the league with a plus 56 rating and only 18 penalty minutes, which if you've paid attention to this year at all, you would even know that our goalie, Connor McManama, had more penalty minutes than Dan Stone, which I thought was kind of interesting.
31-18.
Yep.
That's crazy. That's funny. But go ahead.
In the playoffs, Stone has appeared in all 15 possible games for Binghamton. He has 3 goals and 2 assists in the postseason during the Black Bears' back-to-back title runs. This past season, he was rated plus 11 in 8 playoff contests. Very excited to be back in Binghamton for another season. Can't wait for the season to start, is what Dan Stone had to say about his re-signing.
Yeah, and listen, the 4 guys so far that have signed, and I think it's fine that it's just those 4 guys. But I've read a few things, and I think the question is, why are the Black Bears not trading, making moves like most of the teams out there, right? And, I want to get your thoughts on this, but I don't think there's no need to do anything like the other teams because they already built it in Binghamton, right? And everybody's trying to catch Binghamton. I think, honestly, the fans are probably watching and they're kind of like, oh, where's the news about Binghamton? Where's the news? And just kind of like last summer, there really wasn't any news because as the returners started coming back and then they mixed in a couple new guys, that's all they really needed because Brant was coming back. Everybody had already really committed after the exit interviews. All right, I'm probably going to come back. Yeah, absolutely. So they sprinkle out the signings throughout the summer to give everybody at least a little bit of something, twice a week, 3 times a week, maybe at the most. But they've already built their championship team. And the core is going to come back. So the core the last 2 seasons is returning for the season. I can tell you're going to hear about other returning players. And honestly, Taylor, I'll ask you this. Who would you trade for? If they weren't a part of the success of the last 2 seasons, who are you going to get rid of? Right? It's like I don't understand the question of why aren't we trading? Why aren't we making more moves like the rest of the teams out there?
As far as trading, I mean, aside from Mott, but that's kind of, he's kind of already on our team. So I don't know if he can be included in this, who would you trade for?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know. I mean, there's a handful of players out there that I think are really skilled, but at the same time, I just don't think there's a need for that for the team that we have. Brant seems very capable in putting a team together that just works well together, and every line meshes so well that it's just there's no need for any fancy trades or signings.
And if you're one of those people that is listening to this show and you've thought to yourself, well, why doesn't Brant trade for guys? Why isn't Brant a little bit more active? Why won't Brant sign the maximum guys coming into training camp like other teams do? Brant's very confident in his recruiting. Brant's very confident in the players that he's got. He'll take a 5th-year, 6th-year Jesse Anderson over a brand new guy that maybe some other team figured out and brought into the league. He's not going to trade for that. He's going to go with what he knows. He's going to go with the Jesse Andersons, the Dan Stones in his 3rd year. He's going to go with guys like that because they've already proven themselves. They've already proven that they're dedicated to Binghamton, number one. They're dedicated to following Brant's systems. And at the same time, there's no reason to take success and then try to fix success. It's already successful. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that one.
Now, I will say an offer was put out to Topeka for Chris Mott. I personally have not heard about the negotiations and how they've gone yet to get Mott back. But I do know that there was an offer put out to Topeka to get Chris Mott. I'm not going to say the structure of that right now, but I do know that there was a couple players that were offered up for Chris Mott. Not sure how that's gone. Obviously, nothing's come across the trade wire, and it may not. You know, the coach, Robbie Nichols in Topeka, may just say, nope, I don't want them. I want Chris Mott. And then Chris Mott will have to make a decision, or maybe Brant Sherwood will have to pony up. Now, Coach Sherwood does have plans to bring in new guys, but unlike some teams, he will not be bringing in 30 or 40 guys into training camp this year. So you're going to see less activity from Binghamton than other teams. But as we'll talk about in one of our last segments of this episode, they've won 2 championships in a row. Do they really need to change things up at all, really, to be successful? Taylor, I'll let you have the last word on this.
Oh, boy. I've agreed with everything that you've said so far. Obviously, the news on our end is going to be, at least should be, way less than other teams, like the new teams that we have coming in, like the Sentinels or the PD Cats and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I do think you'll see a lot of trades happening between other teams, but I just don't see it happening with ours. I really don't.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't see the need for it. And, you know, I know fans, like, listen, and I get fans being, you know, want the team to be even more successful than they were last year. It's really going to be hard to be more successful than they were last year. I mean, an 851 winning percentage, you know, 49 wins out of 56, a championship. They lost once in the playoffs. Okay, fine. That made me a tiny bit nervous. That made me like 3% nervous when we lost that game. But then after that, it was absolutely fine because Brant made changes in his lineup and it worked. So Taylor, let's talk schedule now.
Alrighty, so the schedule has been released, and we will get into some of the pros and cons about said schedule. I have a feeling that either way you look at it could be a pro or con on some of these.
Yeah.
Obviously, our banner raising night is October 10th, and that's going to be against Watertown.
Now, all I'm going to say here, okay, because I'm going to let you read these, and I'm going to give you my opinion. You can give me your opinion back if you want. Don't freaking lose this game. You lost last year's game. It's the only game I was pissed off about. Right at the end of the season, what did I say was the most disappointing game for me the whole year?
The banner raising night.
Yeah, the banner raising. Don't lose that game. I'm just saying it. I'm telling all the guys, if any of you are listening, you think I'm joking. I know you think I'm joking. I'm not joking. Don't lose that game. That's the one game I don't want you to lose. I'm weird about this. Special nights, I really want teams, like my favorite teams, to win those. That's just my opinion.
So you said special night. Now, was it because it was banner raising night, or was it because it was your birthday?
Well, last year it was both. Period. I really don't care about my birthday that much. I mean, I enjoy celebrating it with my wife and, cake and, special dinner or whatever. Right. But, it was, both. The next two things are basically when we're going to see some new teams in the arena.
So we will have the Indiana Sentinels, which is a new team coming this upcoming season on November 7th and 8th. And then we'll have the Athens Rock Lobsters in our arena November 14th and 15th.
Now, the only disappointing thing here is that this is the only time we're going to play against Athens again. So we're going to get just 2 games again this year against Athens. We will not be traveling down to Athens. But it'll be nice to kind of see Garrett Milan, here in Binghamton, because he did re-sign, I think, today is recording this on Wednesday. I think it was Tuesday that he re-signed with Athens, his PTO, or maybe it was Wednesday where it went through. So it'd be kind of cool to see Garrett Milan at the arena playing that game. Indiana, I give or take, we'll see how that team is made up and how well they do. But I am excited about those 2 weekends because it's going to break up a little bit of some stuff that we'll talk about in just a little bit.
I think the Indiana Sentinels, depending on how new their players are going to be kind of shocked to come to our arena to kind of see the atmosphere that the fans set.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
Even for the Rock Lobsters, because we haven't faced them in our arena, that I think it's going to be a different thing for them.
Well, they've had a couple sellouts. Last year they had a couple sellouts. They played so many games on the weekdays, and I think this upcoming schedule for them is going to be so much better. And I think their attendance will probably match ours or beat ours because, again, they're going to have a lot more Friday and Saturday games where last year they couldn't because brand new arena, they were trying to fit things in. Their first 2 or 3 games got canceled and had to be postponed and rescheduled, that type of thing. The games against Binghamton were on a Wednesday and a Thursday, if I remember correctly, last year at the end of the season. So, again, I think Athens, they've seen some kind of high energy, but again, in our arena, the fans are right on the ice, and it's a little bit different than anywhere else because we can pack them in there, and I think that'll be kind of fun. And I agree with you. Athens probably doesn't know what they're getting themselves into when they come to Binghamton.
Yeah, I think it'll be some fun times. Now, one of our Wednesday games is going to be Thanksgiving Eve, and that's November 26th against Danbury with a 6:00 start time.
Yeah. I loved the Thanksgiving Day games. They were great. I know, some fans and some people who worked for the B-Sens didn't like them, and they kind of ended that. But the Wednesday night game is, I think, kind of fun for everybody because they know that the next day is Thanksgiving, it's Turkey Day. And I believe the league this year has 4 or 5 games on Thanksgiving Eve. So I think they're starting to catch on that this is a game that you can sell tickets to and that you can get a good amount of people out because that and New Year's Eve, I know New Year's Eve, they have every single team playing on it, which is pretty cool.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think the Thanksgiving Eve and the New Year's Eve, I think when people kind of look at it that it's a Wednesday, it's kind of shocking, but at the same time, it's holidays now.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different ball game than just a random Wednesday.
Yeah, because the next day is a holiday, right? Most people have it up. Most people don't have to work. I know that there are people that's definitely out there, whether they're in the convenience store business or whether they're hospitals, right? There are some people that obviously work on Thanksgiving, but the majority of the people have it off. So why not go to a hockey game on Wednesday night?
Yeah, exactly. Next we have... Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Next, we have a first of 5 versus Carolina on November 29th.
Yeah, they come in for one day. I believe it's a Friday night. And maybe it's a Saturday. It's a Saturday because Thursday would be the 27th, 20. Yeah, so it's the 29th. It's a Saturday. They come in for one game, so I'm guessing that they're in the area. They're either going to be in Watertown or Danbury, probably on Friday night, and then come to us in Binghamton. I remember Columbus was supposed to do this last year, Remember, and that game kind of got wiped out because they didn't want to come up for one game. So Carolina is coming to play against Watertown or Danbury and then come to us. And I think it's going to be kind of nice to see them a little bit early on in the season than like in January or February. But we are going to get 5 games against Carolina this year. And, you know, to me, Taylor, that's one of the highlights of this schedule this year is getting 5 games against arguably the second best team, in my opinion, in the league. I mean, you don't make it to 3 finals in a row. I know they lost. I don't want to say what happened, but they are arguably still one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, Carolina is probably one of my favorite teams to face against, and we don't get to do that very often. Every game against Carolina is just, it always seems like it's great hockey all around. You don't typically have
the stupid stuff.
Yes. To put it lightly, yes.
Yeah, you don't get usually the garbage in there. And I know, yes, they got, you know, what's his name on their team. But again, when he goes out there and plays hockey, he's a good hockey player. Schnapps. I'm talking about Schnapps, right? When he goes out there and just plays hockey, he's a good hockey player. He can score goals. He can pass the puck. He can play on the penalty kill, right? But when he does stupid crap out there, okay, fine. It gets a little wonky. But he usually only does that against Columbus.
Or he usually does it to the point where he gets off the ice and it's no longer a problem. So
that's true too.
I'll take either of those. So
all right. So moving on, we obviously talked about New Year's Eve, but who are we playing against?
We're going to be playing against Watertown, which kind of doesn't shock anybody. We've played them quite a bit this season.
And this is one of the few games in-house. And unfortunately, again, it's a 5:00 start. Now let's debate this for a second. Do you like the 5:00 start or no?
I don't mind it. I don't mind getting out early.
Yeah.
But would I want it all the time? No. Because usually there's always like stuff happening before we go to the hockey games, or there's always like if there was your work schedule involved, like. So I don't mind every once in a while an earlier start, but I typically like the later stuff.
Yeah, I think even on a weekday. Or I know this is a Friday, actually, I think this year. I think New Year's Eve is on a Friday. But, man, I still like the 6:00 because some people like me still work until 5:00. It's like, all right, now I have to plan to get out early, to get to the arena, do my thing. So that type of thing. So, and, of course, against Watertown, and we'll talk about why that's going to be possibly kind of dreadful coming up in just a little bit. But New Year's Eve game. We've done this since the beginning of hockey in Binghamton in 73, 74. BinghamtonHockey.net has a great page for the New Year's Eve games. You can go there and you can see every single score. You can see how each team has done on New Year's Eve. The Black Bears has done very well on New Year's Eve. I believe they've won 4 out of 5 games on New Year's Eve. I believe it could be maybe it's only 2 games that they've won. But they've sold out the last 2 games on New Year's Eve. This is usually one of the sellouts every single year.
Yeah, we unfortunately missed it this year because Jeremy broke down at work, and I think somebody had to go get him. I don't think it was me this time, but we didn't make it in time.
That sucks. That sucks that you guys didn't make it to that game.
It did. We by the time he got home, he was just not in a good mood, and he's like, "We're not going. Like, we're gonna go to your aunt's house." Whereas like we're gonna skip it. We're going to your aunt's house because I think it was like the first period was already over, and I think the second period was already like it was half gone. Like it wasn't going to be worth it to try to get there and get in. So yeah, we just finished watching it on our phones.
That's funny. And then after that is, near the end of June or January, we get another new team.
Yeah, we get the PD Ice Cats, January 23rd and 24th.
So that'll be pretty interesting. This is the only 2 games that we'll have against them, kind of like with Athens. We get just 2 games, but it is in Binghamton, so they will be traveling up from Florence, South Carolina for their first games, against the Binghamton Black Bears in our arena. Now, again, January 23rd, 24th, hopefully those are, high attended games because we want a team like PD to see how the model franchise in the league does.
And that actually starts our longest homestand of the season, January 23rd through February 7th. We play 6 games all at home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then we actually very shortly after that start our longest time away, right?
Yeah. So our longest time away is right after February 13th through the end of February 27th. We had play 5 games away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think that's horrible. I think January 23rd to February 7th, 6 games on the road, that's not bad. At least I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I remember this past season where we had that long stretch where they were away, and I remember everyone was just waiting for them to come back. So I think kind of having the home stretch first,
mm-hmm.
and then the away games, the next home game should be pretty loud, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed.
Because everybody's always excited to get them back.
Now, this year, when I was watching Gary Ryan's video on the schedule, he said that more than 90% of the games are on Fridays and Saturdays. Give the fans the breakdown for Friday and Saturday games for the Black Bears.
So we have 27 Friday games, 14 of which are at home, which means 13 are away. And then we also have 27 Saturday games, 12 at home and 15 away.
Yeah. And then just 2 Wednesday games, both at home.
Yeah.
So that's not a bad. I got to be honest with you, that's even better than some of the AHL schedules where we had 3 or 4 Sunday games and 5 or 6 Wednesday games. But I mean, the league really does thrive on the weekends.
Yeah, I think they did the best they could with getting it down to just Friday and Saturdays. I mean, I remember not last season, obviously, but when we had the Elmira team still,
mm-hmm.
and they went from Michigan 2 days to driving all the way back or as possibly far as you could to Elmira the next day. That was a long weekend, and we made that drive, and it was not fun for us, and we didn't have to put skates on and go out on the ice.
I think that was the Super Bowl Sunday contest where they were out in Michigan, and then they stopped over in Jamestown, if I remember correctly, and then came into Elmira and played a very early game, if I remember correctly, in Elmira before the Super Bowl.
I think that's when it was, because I remember we lost in Elmira and they were kind of picking on us, and then we turned right around that Wednesday, came back, and we won 10-something on Wednesday.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. The next stretch of games I want to talk about they just make me shudder to think. We always talk about how trying to get through the February games, like the Ides of the season, sometimes are very difficult. But there are 9 games in December going into January that just make me cringe a little bit. Why don't you tell the fans what I'm talking about?
We have 4 straight games versus Danbury, all in December, the
mm-hmm.
12th, the 13th, the 19th, and the 20th. And then we have 5 straight games against Watertown.
Oof.
That's the 26th, the 27th, and the 31st of December, and then the 2nd and 3rd of January.
I got to be honest with you. I'm going to be so sick of those 2 teams by the end of those 9 games. Now, it's 4 straight against Danbury, right? So you got to get through 4 against Danbury. Then you got to get through 5 straight against Watertown. When you're talking about the same players over and over again, and there's nothing mixed in there. Oh, it's so difficult. And, I think you'll find, because it'll be the first year of you writing throughout the whole season, that, and I know you don't really write too much about the other teams. But man, it's just like seeing the same teams for, the same 2 teams for 9 games in a row. Oh, that's a struggle. It's a struggle.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a struggle all the way around, because I'm sure at some point the boys are going to get tired of seeing each other, and I'm sure the coaches will get tired of seeing each other, and I'm sure the fans will get tired of seeing each other. So I'm sure there's going to be some tense games happening.
Read off the next 3 here, because I think they're very interesting. These are little things that I found in the schedule that for us I thought was very interesting.
So the Black Bears play every weekend, which is 27 weekends, but there are no 3 games and 3 nights. So we're not playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Mm-hmm. And there are no weekends off for the Black Bears.
Yeah. So I find this very interesting because I kind of like the fact, now I know some of the guys kind of like having that weekend off every once in a while where it's like, oh, we're in the middle of February and you guys don't play this weekend. Or, maybe it's in January or December where you kind of get a whole weekend off. But I kind of like the fact that they're going to be in that same kind of rhythm all throughout the season and not miss a weekend. So the no weekends off, maybe a con to a player or two, maybe hoping for that kind of like long time off. But no 3 games and 3 nights. That's the biggest pro, because there are some teams like I think Carolina. If I remember what Gary said in his podcast, they have 3 games and 3 nights, and they do 3 of them 3 weekends in a row. That's nuts.
Yeah, that's got to be rough. I can only imagine. I do agree about the no weekends off. I think for the most part is a pro. It kind of, I think, keeping everybody just sharp and on edge and just keep them going. The only con that I could see is like if you have a player that's injured, maybe, but at the same time, you'd have to be injured at a specific point if you were hoping to have that weekend off, kind of a thing.
Yeah, or if you just have a few injuries, few nagging injuries, it'd be nice. Oh, wait, we got a weekend coming up. Everybody can kind of rest up a little bit more. Because I know every once in a while, Brant tries to throw in that extra day off for the guys. And so that, again, you can go back and forth on that. But at the same time, I just think, like you said, the rhythm of being able to play every single game. And every single weekend, you've got at least 2 games. I mean, there's no weekends for the Black Bears where they only have 1 game that they play that weekend. So, and with only 2 Wednesday games, there's only 2 weekends where they play 3 games in 4 nights. So that's not bad. It's really not that bad.
Yeah, I kind of really enjoy the schedule, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Now, you already brought it up, but the Black Bears home games are 7 p.m. start normally, but except for on Thanksgiving, it's a 6 p.m. and New Year's Eve, it's a 5 p.m.
Yeah, I think I thought they used to be 7:05, but I think that's the away games mostly.
7:05 is kind of technically when the puck finally usually drops. It's usually like 7:03 or 7:04 or 7:05 is when they finally get the puck dropped after, because you got to have the ceremonial puck drop, you get the national anthem in, you get all this other, kind of ceremonial stuff. And generally it gets sometimes pushed out, but they for the longest time in Binghamton, now this is a Sens thing, a Devils thing, it was always a 7:05 start. Right, that's what was always in the schedule. The Black Bears, I think, did it the first or the second season, 7:05, and then last year and now this year, it's actually scheduled for a 7:00 puck drop. So,
all right. Now, looking at our division, you'll notice that we don't play Blue Ridge or Topeka. Now, at least one of those teams, I'm sure. Either way, fans are probably happy about that compared to how it ended last season.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because with Blue Ridge only being 8 hours away and us going and playing Indiana as much as we are going to, like we're going to go out there once, play them 2 games. They're coming out to us twice to play 4 games. We go to Port Huron twice. And Port Huron is further away than Blue Ridge. Blue Ridge is like 8 hours away, 8 hours, 15 minutes. And you made the trip last year. Is that kind of accurate? About 8.5, 8:15?
Yeah, we went to New Jersey first and then went down. So my time's not, quite correct, but to me, most of the drives aren't that bad, but we're used to going long distances anyways.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's right. I think it's around that.
Yeah, and that's closer than some of the other teams. So I'm kind of surprised in a logistical standpoint that we're not playing Blue Ridge. However, I have a feeling the league probably is okay with us not playing Blue Ridge this upcoming season based on what happened last year?
Well, I think Blue Ridge has more options of playing teams more southern than like Port Huron or even Indiana. I don't think they have enough options for Indiana where if they had to pick and choose, do we play Blue Ridge or do we play one of those two teams? I think they just went towards those two teams, so they had more to play with.
Yeah, and I will say this. I think people know my feelings on this. I don't like a team being in a division and not playing all the teams in the division, right? The Black Bears, when we win the division, I want them to be able to say, we beat every single team in our division to win the division. I know that's semantics. I know that's a fan talking. I know that's a media person talking. But for the integrity of a division championship, generally you play every single team in your division. So this is one of the things I don't like about either how the division is set up or how the schedule is set up. I'm not sure which. You can take your pick. But it's one of those things where it's like, I kind of wish we were playing every team in our division. Topeka, I get it. It's just so far away. Nobody wants to go out to Topeka. No offense, Topeka. I'm sure your fans are great and the players are going to be great and blah, 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 blah. But nobody wants to travel out to you. It's so far away.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the big issue with the schedule is just everyone being upset that we aren't playing everybody in our own division.
Yeah.
I think is the biggest con of the schedule.
Okay. Well, I think one of the biggest cons is the next thing that I want you to read off.
So the con that you are speaking of is that we only have 7 home games after February 1st. A pro is that there's only 20 total games after February 1st, but 7 of those are going to be at home.
Yeah. So my thought process here is like, listen, for us to have an attendance again around 4,300, I still think we need to sell out 8 or 9 times in the season like we did last year to kind of match that number. Binghamton normally, now the Black Bears have broken a couple trends in Binghamton hockey history. This is something I keep track of when it comes to attendance. Home attendance always is stronger after December 31st or December 31st and beyond, because we have a lot of sellouts on New Year's Eve, the New Year's Eve game. We have throughout the years. Some years a little bit leaner than other years when it comes to the attendance, but generally December 31st and on is pretty good. Now we do have a healthy amount of games in January at home. Hopefully the team can work on some really big group sales in January and in February to kind of boost that up. And hopefully we still nail a few sellouts, obviously near the end of the season. But really, only 7 home games after February 1st is really light for Binghamton on the schedule. But that pro of only 20 games after February 1st means that the team can rest, kind of heal. The only other con here, and I just thought of this as I was talking, is how Brant really likes to get in the college guys? The college guys don't start coming in until March 15th-ish and beyond. It's not going to give him a lot of games to play some of the new college kids that he might recruit. So that will be tricky and interesting to see how he does it. But again, if he gets those players in, regulars might be sitting out, and that might help them heal as well. So it might just provide a little bit more incentive to get guys ready for the playoffs. But it's an interesting part of our schedule, only having 20 games after February 1st.
I still think that Brant, if he wanted to, could figure it out. I mean, if you think back to when he signed Utoro and his story, we were in Michigan when he came.
Yep.
And that was kind of like a luck of the straw kind of a thing. And he reached out and we just happened to be playing there and it worked out.
It did.
So I think Brant could still pull some magic like that if need be.
Yeah, no, that's very true. All right. So what's the last note on the schedule here?
We play 7 different teams total, which is Athens, Carolina, Danbury, Indiana, PD, Port Huron, and Watertown. which sounds nice and great until you actually think that we play Watertown 17 times and Danbury 16 times.
Yeah. I kind of wish they could have, given us a couple less Danbury games, a couple less Watertown games, and gotten us to Blue Ridge. Maybe a couple games against Columbus because of, the distance. I just think that would have been nice. But I get it. I realize that Watertown and Danbury rely on Binghamton being there and being able to play against us. But if there's a team that goes into New Jersey next year, the year after, the 26-27 season, that would be kind of a nice little trade-off. So we're playing 3 teams in the Northeast area. That would be good. But only 7 teams out of a 14-team league. There's 13 other teams that we could play against. So there's 6 teams we're not playing against. And we'll never see Baton Rouge and Monroe. We just won't. Just because of their distance, which is unfortunate. But what are your thoughts on only seeing 7 different teams out of a potential 13?
I think it's good and bad. Would I like to see different teams and more variety? Yeah, sure. But at the same time, if you're playing the same team constantly, it's pretty easy to see what you need to fix and what you need to work on. The only downfall to that is that against that team.
Yeah.
Where when it comes to the finals per se, like if it was us and Carolina again and we only played Carolina a handful of times, it's hard to tell. Or even Columbus. Like if Columbus beats them out, we didn't play against Columbus. We don't know their style. So that's kind of the downfall to that, is not seeing every style of play.
Before you get to the finals and then have to play potentially against that team. Yeah, because Columbus this year goes out and they win the division. They beat out Carolina. They make it to the finals. We make it to the finals. And Columbus is a totally different team the last time we played them sometime last season, right? I think it was supposed to be 1 game. Maybe we didn't play them at all, right? And all of a sudden, they're now a physical team. They like to beat the crap out of you. You've got to rely on video to prepare for that. And you don't even have video of your team adjusting and playing against that style. That could be, a tricky thing.
Yeah, and I mean, it almost happened the first year that we won the championship. It was Carolina and Columbus, and Columbus had dominated all season, and Carolina just beat them, and we ended up facing Carolina. But it could have been a whole different story because we didn't face Columbus at all that season.
Yeah, I agree. All right, to end the show, do you want championships or free jerseys?
Man.
When I saw this come, listen, all right, now I want to say something first. Fans, I love you. I really do. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for the fans. Okay. And I just don't understand the comment that I saw. This was a post I think was in the Binghamton Black Bears fan page, and I don't want to call out anybody, but this comment I'm calling out, right? Where a fan said that they wanted free jerseys because they're season ticket holders. All right, I'm talking to a season ticket holder. Okay, I go in with a press pass and everything. Everybody knows that. So Taylor, I'm going to ask you: do you want a free jersey? Do you want the team to give you a free jersey, or do you want to win a championship?
I definitely want to win a championship. I didn't even have to think about that for a second.
It makes no sense to me. It's like you want more what? I don't follow teams in sports or race car drivers just to watch them play and get free merch. I don't. I've never been that way. I've been always the guy that said, okay, if there's a championship rewarded at the end of the season, I want my team to get that, in Binghamton. So just as an example, the AHL is all about developing players to make it to the NHL, right? That's what we always hear, The team isn't here to win a championship. It's here to develop players to get them to the NHL. And my response to that every single time, and this goes back 20 plus years, Taylor, I'm not even kidding you. I would say, then why the F do we present the winning team in the American Hockey League the Calder Cup trophy? well, that's just, I mean, we want them to play in the playoffs. We want them to win a championship, but that's not their main well, then why be here? To me, I get it. You want to develop, you want to make it to the next level of hockey, but if you're not playing the game to win and to win a championship, then why are you playing? And I think that fans should think the same way. You're paying hard. Taylor, how much are your season tickets? What do you guys pay for your season tickets?
It depends on the section you're in, and we get a discount.
Okay.
I think ours are like just over $300 a piece.
So about $600. Could you use that $600 to do anything else with? You could.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. You could pay bills. You could buy your little girl, another toy, or maybe something that will help her in school. Right? You could use that money for something else, right?
Oh yeah, sure.
So shouldn't you demand a winning team over a free freaking jersey? I mean, you guys pay a lot for jerseys.
I mean, definitely.
I'm asking the wrong people because literally Taylor and Jeremy are two of the people that you see buying jerseys almost every auction. It's kind of crazy. I know. And maybe so it's a rhetorical, stupid question to ask. But realistically, I'm sorry. But if you're a fan out there that thinks that the perks should be better to be a fan or to have season tickets in Binghamton, and you guys just won 2 championships, you're really missing the big picture here. That's my point here.
Well, and the other thing, when you get your package for season tickets, it has a bunch of stuff in it. It's not like you just get the season tickets and that's it. There's a bunch of coupons in there. There's things for there's golfing stuff. There's all sorts of, I think ours last year, there was stuff for golfing, and there's like several of them.
Yeah.
There's stuff for golfing. There's stuff for Tioga Downs. There's stuff for the cider mill. They came with these little pins that were, I don't know if it was a Black Bear hat, if it was a logo that said Binghamton Black Bears. I don't remember. But it does come with a bunch of stuff. Right.
And it's whether or not you choose to use some of the stuff, right? But I mean, you obviously get your ticket at a discounted price. You get the same ticket if you get the whole 28 game season tickets. There is a lot of great things to be a season ticket holder. I've been a season ticket holder for many, many years in the past. So I know that there are many great perks. It blew my mind away that we've won 2 championships and that this organization has gone out of the way to increase the attendance every single year in the last 4 years. And we've won the last 2 championships. And someone would literally say, oh, I just want a free jersey. Add that to the perks. That's what we deserve. Come on. I'm sorry. I know I'm getting riled up for nothing. I shouldn't, but that's my thought.
Well, it just, to me, it's like taking our team and comparing it to one in the ECHL. I mean, it's just, they're 2 separate entities completely. Yeah.
There's a financial difference between the ECHL and the FPHL. That's number one. It's just completely different. You can't compare a Fed team to an American Hockey League team. You can't compare an ECHL team. And listen, what most people don't realize is when you think, oh, Bridgeport's going away, we're going to get the AHL back. No, we're not. That's not going to happen. Oh, wait, the team is leaving. The Utah Grizzlies are leaving Utah, and they're going to go back to. They're going to come back. We're going to get them in Binghamton. No, they're probably going to go to Trenton, New Jersey. But the point is this: like the financial differences between how things are run in the Fed. And I just had this conversation. I don't know if you saw the conversation I had with Steven Bagnetto, who is a great fan. He listens to our show, and Steven was like, "Well, if the Bridgeport Sound Tigers, the Bridgeport Islanders leave Bridgeport because it's rumored that they're leaving, and that there's going to be an announcement soon that they're going to be heading potentially to Hamilton, Ontario, where the old Hamilton Bulldogs of the AHL used to play, and that the Islanders are going to go out there, which I think is a very strange move, but that's besides the point. He thinks that the ECHL should go into Bridgeport. And it's like the model in the ECHL, you need to be very successful financially. It doesn't matter if you win on the ice. It just matters if you're financially successful. Glens Falls is a smaller city than Binghamton. And the reason why it supports the ECHL up there is because they have not one, not two, not three. They have many companies putting money into the ECHL team to make sure that they stay there. They don't want to lose that team. So financially, they're supported by companies within the city of Glens Falls. And that's the reason why that works. You can't just take a Fed team or an ECHL team and throw them in Bridgeport. A very tough market financially. First of all, cost probably 10 times more than in Binghamton to house a player in Bridgeport. And that's the crazy part about that. That's the reason why when the New York Islanders owning the Bridgeport Sound Tigers, it's a write-off. Every single cent that they lose in Bridgeport literally helps the New York Islanders be financially more successful because they're writing off the losses in Bridgeport. But it's a tough place to play hockey. I've been there. I've called games there with Phil Giubileo and with the Manchester Monarchs, Ken Kale. I know the city a little bit, and it's a very tough city to find good housing at a cheap cost. You just can't put the ECHL or the Fed in there and expect it to work. It's just not going to happen. But at the same time, changing Binghamton from a successful model that they are now to ECHL, which will be much more difficult. Now, I haven't seen the numbers, and I still question whether or not we could viably make it in ECHL. Andreas has not sent me the numbers and said, well, here's the study. Here's what we are expected to need to have, and this is what we're doing now to prove to me. So I question that a little bit, but I do know the cost. ECHL teams are tougher to run financially than any other minor league in North America. So you're talking about the ECHL is more expensive than the AHL to run as a local ownership group. It's more difficult than the Fed, the SP, the NHL up in Canada. Very difficult to run an ECHL team. And the reason why is because you have to pay an affiliation fee to the AHL team or the NHL team, and you have to pay higher prices for your players. Now, in the AHL, if you're a local ownership group, in the AHL, the NHL is supplying you all the players. So you're just paying an affiliation fee, and you just got to make that affiliation fee, and then you break even. So, or you come close to breaking even. All right, I went on a rant. Too long.
Well, I think just kind of like jumping back to you saying that they're not playing for a title and this and that. I do think part of that is true for some players. Like if you take somebody who is in the NHL and he gets hurt and he goes down a level or goes down 2 levels, they're not there to play for that team. They're not there to help that team win a championship.
True.
Where if you take the guys in the Fed, they are here, blood, sweat, and tears playing for that team.
Yeah.
They don't want to play anywhere else. They're trying to win you a championship. There's nothing else that they're trying to do.
And the prime example of that is Tyson. He could go play in the ECHL and maybe bounce around from one team to another in ECHL and kind of be that third or fourth liner, or he could win a championship here in Binghamton. Why not?
Yeah, he had the choice. He got signed and he came back to Binghamton, and I think that says a lot.
It does say a lot. It says a lot about how much he cares about the team, his players, his head coach, and I think even how much he respects the fans here in Binghamton and how they've treated him. So that's a very good point. Very, very good point. Very good point to end on. How about we end on that? Sound good?
Yes, that's good to me. Perfect.
All right. Before I let you go, happy 4th of July. Hope you guys have a good weekend, okay?
I hope you do too.
Awesome. All right. The Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast, and please subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and search for Power Play Post Show. And check out BinghamtonHockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. Thank you to Rob Lapolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And we will talk to you next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.